extreme weather is just one aspect of climate change that's affecting our lives. I spoke to Nobel Laureate Mario Molina about the state of climate change policies and what still needs to be done.
Well, we are at the difficult stage because the problem is really not being solved by society. There are a number of important actions taken by several different countries, including the United States, such as putting some control on certain emissions, efficiency for the cars and so on. But overall, the emissions of the gases that are affecting climate just continue, so that there's really no agreement yet. The debate has really political roots because, for example, in the US Congress, it would be essential for the US Congress to ratify an international agreement if we really want to solve this problem. But it became sort of an issue, particularly the Republican Party took as a posture not to sort of believe the science of climate change. And also there were a number of things, such as a very well-financed public relations campaign questioning the science.
I want to talk about this report from the American Association for the Advancement of Science. It's a group of scientists who have put together this report, and the title is essentially Scientists to Americans, This Climate Change Thing is a Really Big Deal. Explain that for us.
We expect, I'm part of that group making those announcements, we do expect to do something different this time, because the scientific community has not been very clever at explaining what they know and what needs to be done and so on. So what is different this time is that the purpose is to change public opinion. The public is badly misinformed. And as you were pointing out, most people think that there's a debate among scientists. Is it true? Is it not true? And that's really not the case. So the first point to make to change public opinion is that point, that the scientists are in agreement. And there are several other points that need to be made as well, of course.
There's been discussion in many circles that big countries who polluted a lot in the past should pay or have more of the burden of the cost of fixing this problem of climate change. Do you agree?
Not really. That was behind the Kyoto Protocol, and that led to sort of fights. Progress was not made. So a very big change happened some years ago, starting, say, with the big countries, China and other developing countries. Instead of saying, okay, we won't do anything until the developed countries start, that position was changed. And so the idea is that every country will start doing something important. Now, of course, you can still reach an agreement. It's not clear that the rich countries have to pay for what has happened before. But what is clear is that they can help developing countries change the way they use energy. Okay, we've done that before, for example, with the ozone layer problem. That worked extremely well.
As a professor, I want to ask you this. Your job is to basically explain to people the issue of climate change. I want you to help us understand what are the consequences if this issue is ignored.
Yes, one of the big points being made by this AAAS announcement, of which I'm part, is that we have to deal with risk. It's no longer appropriate just to talk about what's most likely to happen. In the same way that when you drive a car, you wear seat belts, not because it's most likely that you will have an accident, that you take an insurance. So the big problem here is that because science is uncertain, we're running a very big risk that we will indeed have changes that are very damaging to society. It's not necessarily the most likely thing to happen, but the risk is very real according to all the scientific knowledge we have.
I have to follow up with that. In terms of weather, explain to us how that might impact everyday people.
Perhaps one way to explain it, when we talk about abrupt climate changes that have happened in the past in geological times. But for example, One possibility is that the Amazons would dry up. That's a big lung of the planet. Another possibility is that the ocean currents will change in such a way that the weather will be dramatically different. We'll have more, perhaps, floods and more droughts, many more than we have today. So all these extreme events in weather are very worrisome because they are already happening, but not to the extent that we think they might.
Special thanks to Nobel Chemistry Laureate Mario Molina, also professor at the University of California in San Diego.